Welcome to Shadowed Realms, unveiling the dark lore. A deep dive into the hidden depths of video games, movies, and anime where light rarely dares to venture. From the cryptic symbolism of a haunted video game world to the twisted backstories of iconic characters, we'll analyze the dark narratives that shape these immersive universes. Expect a mix of thoughtful analysis, historical context, and an occasional deep dive into the psychological and philosophical themes that these stories explore. But this series isn't just about the spooky surface level stuff. We'll also look to the cultural and psychological and artistic reasons why these dark themes resonate with audiences and what they say about us as people. Buckle up, because these things are about to get creepy and maybe even a little introspective. Are you ready to step into the shadows? Let's go. Welcome to Myth and Lores, a journey into the dark and divine. Without further ado, let's jump into another lore. Bloodborne, developed by FromSoftware, is widely regarded as one of the most atmospheric and intricately woven narratives in the action RPG genre. While not explicitly laid out, the game's lore is rich with profound psychological and existential themes, much of it rooted in the psychological horror of humanity's place in a vast, uncaring universe. The falling of Yharnam and the Great Ones. The city of Yharnam, with its gothic architecture, is built on the foundation of blood, which ties into the core of Bloodborne psychological themes. The city's inhabitants seek the healing power of blood, which eventually leads to their downfall. This obsession with blood parallels humanity's hunger for knowledge, power, and transcendence, portrayed as dangerous and ultimately self-destructive. Yharnam's descent into madness is directly tied to the Great Ones, cosmic deities beyond human comprehension. The Great Ones represent the unknown, the alien, and the vast horrors that lie beyond the veil of human understanding. The more the people of Yharnam delve into the mysteries of these beings, the more they lose their humanity, becoming grotesque and insane. This is a commentary on humans' inability to truly comprehend the universe without losing its sense of self. The Hunt, a recurring event in Bloodborne, is central to the game's narrative. In the game, hunters are tasked with slaying the monstrous creatures, beasts that roam the land, but there's a deeper implication. The hunters themselves may be slowly becoming the very thing they hunt. This speaks to a psychological theme of identity crisis and self-destruction. The hunters are in a perpetual cycle of violence, torn between their purpose and their descent into madness and beastliness. This theme is underscored by the player's transformations, the NPCs, and the enemies. The process of beastification serves as a metaphor for how unchecked desires and emotions, be it power, fear, or obsession, can corrupt and consume one's humanity. Cosmic horror and existential despair. The horror in Bloodborne concerns not just monstrous creatures, but also the very nature of existence. The game borrows heavily from the genre of cosmic horror, emphasizing insignificance in the grand scale of the universe. Humanity is shown to be fragile, its existence a fleeting moment in the face of incomprehensible forces. The Great Ones, while godlike, are not benevolent or malevolent in the way traditional gods are depicted. They are indifferent to humanity. This existential despair is reflected in the game's atmosphere, where the player constantly encounters characters who have resigned themselves to the futility of their actions, often speaking of the inevitability of their fates. In a profoundly philosophical way, the game asks whether knowledge, power, or existence itself is worth pursuing when it leads only to suffering. The concept of insight. In Bloodborne, insight is a mechanic that reflects the player's growing understanding of the hidden truths of the world. As you gain more insight, the game world becomes distorted, revealing more grotesque and horrific details. This symbolizes the mental toll of understanding the truth. The more you learn, the more you see, and the more you lose your grip on sanity. It's a direct commentary on the dangers of seeking knowledge, especially when it challenges one's perception of reality. The more insight you gain, the closer you come to madness, reflecting that understanding certain truths may be too much for the human mind to bear. The Healing Church and religious symbolism. The Healing Church in Bloodborne is a major institution within the world, and it plays a crucial role in the psychological horror of the narrative. On the surface, it is a religious organization dedicated to healing, but underneath, it's deeply corrupt. The church's use of blood and its role in spreading the blood ministration practices that led to the downfall of Yharnam reflects the danger of blind faith, power, and the exploitation of belief for control. Religious symbolism runs deep throughout the game, but it is used more to explore the inherent darkness in systems claiming salvation. The church's manipulation of the people's faith mirrors the self-destructive cycles that often appear in societies where institutions promise hope but ultimately lead to destruction. Madness, identity, and the beast within. A significant part of Bloodborne's psychological depth is the exploration of madness and the loss of identity. Throughout the game, characters lose their sense of self, succumbing to the madness by pursuing forbidden knowledge or horrors they've encountered. The player, too, is at risk of this madness. The line between hunter and the hunted blurs as you progress, and the protagonist's identity comes into question. Are you indeed the hunter, or are you becoming the beast? This theme of identity is tied to the idea of transformation and what it means to be human. The hunters who fight monsters are often no different from the monsters they hunt, exploring the idea that the world's violence reflects the violence within. The role of the moon's presence and the moon's influence. The moon presence, a key figure in the game's ending, is the final link between the player and the more profound cosmic horror of the Bloodborne world. Its presence reinforces the game's philosophical exploration of fate, destiny, and the control, or lack thereof, the player has over their actions. The moon presence also represents the inevitability of death and a desire for transcendence, reflecting the human tendency to seek meaning and power beyond the mortal world. However, like the Great Ones, it is ultimately indifferent to the hunter's struggle. In conclusion, the psychological depth of Bloodborne is rooted in the exploration of themes like existentialism, the fragility of the human psyche, the perils of knowledge, and the blurred lines between humanity and monstrosity. The game crafts a narrative that challenges the player's understanding of self and reality through atmospheric design, fragmented storytelling, and cosmic horror. The characters in Bloodborne often confront the darkest aspects of existence, and their world serves as a reminder of the futility of trying to control fate, the mind, and the universe itself. In essence, Bloodborne is not just a game about defeating monsters, but a mediation on the horrors of knowledge, the fragility of the human mind, and the existential dread that comes with confronting the unknown. That concludes this lore. If you like what you heard, please like, comment, and subscribe, and stay tuned for the next lore. Bye.